This session is going to introduce you to a coaching model that we'll be using throughout the program and looking at the coaching process. The objectives for this session are that at the end of it, you'll be able to describe how a coaching program can be conducted, explain the importance of having a model to use when coaching, identify the stages in the GROW model, and evaluate the GROW model against two other models of coaching. Coaching comes in many shapes and forms and is a versatile form of learning and development. You may be asked to coach as part of a coaching program where people are wanting to have a series of coaching sessions over a period of time. This type of coaching usually allows you to do preparation and planning beforehand and to take a more long-term view of the development and progress. Sometimes though, for instance, you may have a break with someone and they start telling you about a problem. Or you may spot someone who's not performing to standard and you want to give them some effective support right there and then. People tend to retain learning more when they're given feedback and support immediately, so it's helpful to be able to do that. And you may be able to think of other opportunities that you may come across where you would like to coach someone. Whatever the circumstances, the coaching skills will apply in the same way. It could be that you just take a couple of minutes using them to help someone, or you take an hour and a half, or 2 hours in a more formal coaching session. Apart from the skills in coaching, having a structure to the coaching session can help, particularly when you're just developing your coaching ability. If you're doing a full coaching program, then very often the first session will be different from the subsequent sessions. The first session is usually more of a big picture session, helping the client think about their goals for the whole program. So that type of session may take this type of structure. First bit will be all about building rapport and creating the relationship with the person, so important for creating trust between you. And this is covered in the section on building the relationship in the coaching skills model. Next, there is about agreeing what's expected from the relationship, which we've already covered in the second session of this module. And then there's contracting with the client and ensuring commitment, and we've covered this as well in the last session. Next would come some sort of gathering information about the client, and we've already seen this in the first sessions of this module. Then you'd start to explore and create awareness of the client's current situation. This is about exploring where the client is at the present and what is going on with them. And we'll cover this in the session on the second part of the GROW model. Next would come setting overall outcomes. That is, setting goals for the whole program. These are the big picture goals, and we'll be looking at this in the session on goals. And then you can actually start the coaching. Then you can decide which goal you're going to start with and get started on the main coaching process. And this session, therefore, is very important for building the relationship and setting the scene for the coaching. The second and subsequent sessions will then work their way through the goals set in the first session, or in things that have cropped up since the first session or as a result of it. And the session is likely to take this sort of shape. Firstly, you're likely to review progress, talk about what they've done or haven't done since the last session, what worked well, what things they would really like to develop. And from that, then you can set the agenda and goals for this particular meeting. Then set about exploring the present situation and what's happening now. And then you'll want to explore ideas, options, frames of mind that will help the person to move forward. And lastly, action plan and get commitment to plan for the option they've chosen to go for. And there are sessions on each part of this to follow. And this type of process fits very well into what's known as the GROW model. So after that, each session will follow the similar pattern of reviewing, setting the agenda, exploring what's happening, exploring ideas and options, and then action planning. The GROW model was developed by Sir John Whitmore, one of the pioneers of coaching in Britain and now around the world. This model works whether you are coaching as part of a long-term program or as part of a coaching session you happen to be doing next to the coffee machine or when someone has just come to you with a problem they have. The advantage of the model is to provide a framework that you can use in any session so that you can be confident that you have an effective process to use. As with all frameworks, as you get more and more experienced, you'll probably be getting very good at adapting and adding to it to suit each particular client. Another reason why it's an advantage to have a framework is that it is generative for the client. Over a period of sessions, it teaches the client how to solve problems for themselves, and in a way that is generative for them, helping them to help themselves. As a coach, your aim is to provide the client with more and more tools to be able to develop themselves. There are many other coaching models that you will find in literature. And for these modules, we're going to use the GROW model as the basis of the approach. So, GROW stands for goals, reality, options, and will. The goals section is where you will set goals and outcomes for the session. The reality bit is about what is happening at the moment. What is the client's current reality? What is going on? How are they reacting to it? And what are the results that they're getting now? The options part is where you will help the client think of ways of moving forward. Think of the options that are open to them and the one that's going to be most suitable. And the will bit is where you'll want to make sure that the client is fully inspired and has the commitment to take action and carry it through. There is a session on each of these parts of the model that you can look forward to and implementing. Here is some research for you to do and to write down and present. There are many different coaching models, and the one that we're going to use, the GROW model, is the most common. But find 2 other models and compare them to the GROW model and notice the similarities and the differences in the models. What would you consider the strengths of each of the models?